Rev up your engines and put on your racing goggles because it's time to dive headfirst into the wild world of motorcycle racing. Welcome to the Big Bad Bike Show, the fast and hilarious motorcycle racing podcast where we blend speed, humour and a dash of pure insanity. I'm your host, Sam McCauley, and joining me as always is the up north biker, Ash Hull.
Hey up.
And bringing it in to make a full set once again, it's Chris Chippy Ballard.
Hello.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. We're recording on, it's Monday night? What's today's date? I don't even know.
It's Monday the 26th.
Monday the 26th, and it's 25 to 9. We were almost on time tonight.
Yeah.
As always, if you are listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, check out Ash's videos. He's got one more on there. Just little tips and tricks for when you're riding about on your bike. Also, if you're on Spotify or Apple or Google Podcast, just drop us a message. Let us know where you're listening from. Let us know what you think of the show. Fantastic. Right, Ash, do you want to give us what's coming up in the show?
Absolutely. As always, we've got the all-new Who Am I to do. We're going to be looking at the MotoGP in Assen. That was the weekend just gone. And we'll be making our predictions for who's going to finish second this weekend at the World Superbikes at Donington.
I've not even thought about predictions for Donington. I've not even thought about other races other than, the World Superbikes. But obviously you've got the Super Sport and Super Stock, but yeah.
Seems like ages since. I'm assuming that they've had a bit of a break on the World Supers.
Well, they don't have that many rounds. They only have 13 rounds compared to the MotoGP's, like, what, 21, 22 this year or something?
Yeah. Anyway. Chippy, what have you been up to?
Well, this week I have discovered ChatGPT.
Oh, God.
Which you two are well aware of.
I know about it.
It is brilliant. Basically, if anybody's listening, they don't know what it is. It's artificial intelligence, and you can put anything into it. So you can say, like, write me a poem about my dog playing with his new toy, and it will write you a whole poem, and it is brilliant. Like, you can ask it anything, it'll do it. In fact, it did the intro to the show, if we're honest, and we've got a few more lined up.
Nice one. So we had that was a really, really good intro. Like, we haven't had an intro like that for a long time, and now you're just putting it down to, we just got a computer to make it up.
I think it's.
Well, no, I mean
I think it's safe to say, Ash, we've never had an intro like that. Full stop. I tried the intros.
No, you used to put a bit of panache into it.
Yeah, but then it ran out of juice.
And if I'm honest as well. If I'm honest, I've kind of done it for the news. I mean, I wrote the news out and then I put it into ChatGPT and got it to reword it for me, and it's made it sound amazing. I could sit there for a week and I wouldn't have come out with what that thing came up with.
Yeah, but it has to be telling the truth, because the thing with artificial intelligence is it doesn't exactly. I know it's artificial intelligence, but it doesn't exactly know. You can't just be talking bullshit. It has to be true.
No, I mean, obviously I've proofread it. It is still true.
Well, here you go, folks.
And other
this
than that,
is a computer-generated
podcast
podcast now. We don't do anything by ourselves. We just put everything into artificial intelligence, and they give the show for you. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. That'll be what happens next. Terminator will turn up. What have you been up to, Ash?
Me, as you mentioned briefly, I made a video on how to fit a USB port that I'd bought on Amazon onto the bike I've got, because I'm going on a trip on the 1st of September with my old man. We're going to be riding around the Highlands in Scotland, so I figured I'm going on the Blackbird. I don't have a way to charge my phone, so that's why I fitted it. But it was actually alright, the little video I did. I thought it was okay. It's getting plenty of views on YouTube, so if anyone does want to know how to fit a USB kit to your bike, please do go and watch it. That's all I've been up to, really, to be honest, since we last spoke. Oh, and obviously getting a load of shit from you two about tents and sleeping bags and just...
Well, you brought that on yourself.
General everything, really.
You didn't get a load of shit. I gave you some very sound advice, simple advice. Go to Mountain Warehouse, or go outdoors, or trek, or any camping shop, and try a few sleeping bags. You don't have to buy them, just try them and be like, oh, like this one, and then go buy it online. That's what everybody else does. with everything, ever.
What I was looking at, because I got Chippy to... I said, does anybody know any good sleeping bags? And Chippy said, well, yeah, I've got a good one off Amazon. So I just asked Chippy, could I possibly just come and see if I can get in it for 30 seconds to see what it's like? But no.
That's weird.
It's not weird.
It is
You've
weird.
You've got the product there. I could have been like, right, do you know what? This is okay. I'll order one.
Yeah, but go to Mountain Warehouse. They got 50 there, and you can find one that's really good.
I'm not lying in a sleeping bag in the middle of a shop. No.
Why not? That's literally what it's there for. That's
No,
like saying I'd go to American Golf and not swing the golf club because I don't want people to see that I'm actually going to play golf. You go into a camping store because people know you're going to go camping, so eventually you're going to lie down.
No.
The thing is, if you'd have tried my sleeping bag and then you'd have found a better and cheaper one online, and then you'd have had a go at me for making you buy my sleeping bag.
No, I wouldn't have made...
That's what would have happened.
No, I wouldn't. Anyway, I went to Mountain Warehouse earlier and I got one.
So you mean, whenever I gave you the advice of going to Mountain Warehouse and you kicked off like a big baby, and then we had a 10-minute argument with you about how that was a bad idea, and then you end up doing that anyway, and you even put a message in the group chat saying, oh, that was a good idea in the end. Glad I done that.
Well, yeah, because I completely forgot that I got discount, so...
Yeah, so... Good idea. Maybe you should just listen to me and not fucking start an argument and then go, oh, you two wind me up all the time. Oh, because you don't listen. You're like a fucking child with a new toy. You don't listen.
Nah. No. And Sam, what have you been up to other than being your usual self?
I have not had. Well, I'd be lying. I was going to say not had a drink all week. That's lies because the weekend has just passed. I've not been up to very much, to be honest. Haven't really got much to say. Didn't really do much. Just being dad. I am looking forward to this weekend going to Donington Park for the World Superbikes. So rather than saying what I've been doing, maybe I could talk about what I'm going to do. So, I had to bust out my tent. I got a tent years ago to go to a few festivals. They managed to survive that. So I've not put them up for years. I thought I'm going to have to try and put the tent up.
Oh, do you use that tent at festivals?
Yeah, of course, that's what tents are for.
Oh, I bet it's stinking, man.
Yeah, but I shit out my arse every day and that's still pretty clean, so see, that's what you do, you clean things. So, there you go. And, so I had to put the tent up, make sure it was all aired out. Anyway, what's wrong with festivals? This is another thing. You've got this thing about festivals that's a bit dirty and stinking.
This is you at a festival.
You've got this thing about festivals. You think that everybody that goes to festivals is just going to go there and be stinking. You're going to go to the TT for 11 days and stay in a tent. What sort of state do you think you're going to be in when you finish that?
Yeah, but I'll be washing every day.
Yeah, and so you're still camping. Your washing isn't as good as what it would be with your washing machine in your house and your nice shower. And if it rains, fuck me, you're going to be walking about a campsite and everything's going to be stinking.
Nah.
That's your answer to everything. That's when you know you've got Ash and he knows he's wrong. You just go, nah, because he's got no argument whatsoever, because he's wrong. Anyway.
I'm not wrong, because it'll be fine.
Right, so, yeah, I'm looking forward to Donington. Got my tent out, made sure my tent worked. Got my sleeping bag out, made sure my sleeping bag was alright. Didn't throw a strop. Any fucking sleeping bag will do, because I don't care, because I'm going to be so drunk I'll pass out anyway. And that was about it.
You say you're looking forward to Donington. You're actually looking forward to it because you know what the outcome's going to be.
Of course I'm looking forward to it. There's more than one race. There'll be like the Super Sports, the Super Stock, going down there with a mate, going to probably get hammered every night as well.
You are 100% going to get hammered. That is,
I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to have a good time. I'm not going to go down like you two and be back in your hotel room for like 9 o'clock arguing over who gets to wank in the shower before you go to bed. Fuck off. I'll be getting absolutely wrecked. Rickety wrecked every night.
Yeah, but we don't drink, so...
Because you're losers. Losers!
If you say so.
Gosh, whenever I met you, you were a pisshead, mate.
I was that.
First time I met you, you just reached me a beer. That was it. And then we drove down to the beach. We drove down to the beach in our cars, and you just brought us a crate of beer. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this cunt's just drink driving. He doesn't give a fuck. And you're like, nobody cares. And then we just started getting smashed.
Oh, Yes.
So get off your fucking high horse.
I don't drink anymore.
Yeah, anymore. They're the worst type of non-drinkers. Right. Well, we move on with the show.
Yes. We've got some feedback. This is the first I've seen of this, actually.
Do you want me to read through it?
Because Ash doesn't read the doc.
Right. We've got some feedback. The first one is from King Robbo / Yobbo. Right, he says, "Hello, you bunch of absolute spunk muffins. Guess who's back with more abuse for Chippy? Me." Anyway, he listened to the pod last week, or the last time whenever he emailed in about having a superbike style bike without it being a superbike. Essentially, he ends up answering his own question. He says, "Essentially, I want a bike that I want a superbike looking bike without having 1000cc to decaffeinate myself around the tree." Does he mean decaffeinate, or I don't know? He's already been looking at a CBR 600, GSXR, R6 and the Ninja 600. He says his old dear used to have a 650 Bandit, and his stepdad, he believes, had a 2019 R1. His end goal is to end up at an R1M or an S1000RR, but he's just a little way off that. So basically, he wants a superbike bike without having a superbike, but he's already said he's been looking at a CBR 600 and a GSXR and the R6. So it sounds like he already knows the sort of bike he wants.
Yeah, I mean, all of the bikes he's mentioned, they're all brilliant bikes. Any one of them.
Me personally, I would go for the CBR 600. Simply,
I would as well,
because it's a Honda, and I think Hondas are always reliable. And who doesn't want to ride a Honda? And plus, you can put on like the Repsol livery and look like one of them knobs that drive about all sit it and bit it.
I would go for the Honda as well, but that's only because I'm very Honda biased. I love Hondas; they're great.
I like a Gixxer.
Yeah,
that's my dream bike.
Mm-hmm.
But Ash doesn't like Gixxer owners.
It's not that I don't like Gixxer owners. It's just the most of them that I've met, and I'm not saying all of them. They're just them guys, you know. Oh, you got a bit of extra space there on your back tyre. Clearly not getting your knee down. Well, no, I'm riding on the public road, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not on a fucking track. Yeah. Anyway, out of all of them,
thanks, Yobbo.
Out of all of them,
thanks for getting in touch, Yobbo.
Would go for the CBR 600 or the Ninja 600 out of them.
Go for a Gixxer.
Don't listen to Chippy. Chippy doesn't ride bikes. Anyway. He doesn't know what bikes are.
I'd go for a CBR 600.
I would. I definitely would.
I'd go for Gixxer.
Right. Anyway, let's move on with the feedback. Last week we were having a bit of a discussion on our group chat about what we call our bikes. Ash, what do you call your bike?
I call my bike Robin.
Why?
So sad.
Because, right, so I own, as you all know, I own a Honda Blackbird. But my Honda Blackbird is red, so it's a red bird. So then I thought, well, what's kind of like a little red bird? It's like a robin. A robin's a little red bird, so it's called Robin.
And you think it reminds you of Robin from Batman and Robin?
Well, I like that idea as well, yeah.
But I reminded you that Robin from Batman and Robin's supposed to be like a 15, 16-year-old boy, so it'd be more likely to be in like my little red YBR 125.
Yeah,
a Blackbird's more like a big muscle-bound Bane sort of motherfucker, isn't it?
Well, it is, but you know, I didn't. Like you said, we could have called it Red Hulk, but nah, I don't like the idea of that. I like it.
Could have called it a Cardinal because that's a red bird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I call mine Pip, not because it looks like anything, just because whenever I turn it on, because it's a little 125, it just goes pip 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 pip. It's like a little lawnmower. Pip 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 pip. I used to call it
my granddad's dog. Granddad's dog's called Pip.
I used to call it Pip to Pop. But now Pip to Pop. But now you just call it
Ping.
Ping. But now you just call it Pip. That's it. So Chippy, as you can get the sense, doesn't really like the idea of naming his bikes, and he's not a biker, but he doesn't even like the idea of naming his car. Like I knew a girl years ago who had a little Yaris, a little yellow Yaris, and she called it Tweety after Tweety Pie or Tweety Bird. You know, she was a young girl, she had a yellow. She called her car Tweety. I got it. I knew a guy that bought an old piece of junk car just to drive around the village and they called it the Silver Shadow. That's what he called it. It was just an old piece of crap car. Like, people name their cars. People name their bikes. That's what they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. A lot of
No,
people
they don't. No, they don't.
They do.
My last car that I had...
I call mine Ford Focus because that's what it's called. It came out the factory. They already gave it a name. Ford did a very good job with it.
But the last car I had was that... Nissan X-Trail, and it was an absolute piece of shite, so I called it the Pig.
What sort of dog have you got, Chippy?
I've got a Border Collie.
So do you call it Border Collie? No, you
it's
gave an even
thing, so it's
more
got a
boring
name.
fucking name, and you called it fucking Arthur. Who the fuck calls their dog Arthur? You loser! I bet you that dog, you know that painting where the dogs are around playing cards. Your dog goes to the card game, and they sit in there, and you've got Rex and Killer and whoever else sitting there, and they're like, "Yeah, mate, what's your name?" And he's like, Arthur. And then he gets bullied, and the other dogs bum him, and then they kick him out and send him out. They're like, "Fuck off, you little weird name." Arthur's not a dog's name.
Dear.
Anyway.
Well, it's my dog's name.
But you name your dog, so why would you not name your bike?
Oh, you
because
have a
the
bike,
dog's a
so
living
why
thing.
do
It
you name
needs a
your car?
name.
So do you name name every one of your flowers?
No.
Or
Why haven't you named your sofa?
I do name my sofa.
Because it doesn't.
It's called Big Sleepy.
You probably do.
Oh, Big
I
Sleepy.
haven't got a name for my sofa. I'm going to name my sofa.
As if I name my sofa.
I'm going to call mine Lambert and Butler. We call it Lambert and Butler because that's what it stank of when we picked it up.
Anyway, I posed it to our socials to ask anybody else if they name their bikes, just to see if we could get an answer, to see if anybody would come across. Right. So
got quite a few.
We did get quite a few. So now I have sent posts out on Facebook telling everybody that I'm going to read these out in the show, and I get a few thumbs up, but nobody has got in contact to tell me not to read them out in the show. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a go ahead, that their name's getting read out. If anybody hears this and wants their name to be taken off it, let me know and I'll do some editing. Phil Hamlin says he calls his GX, I should just call it a Gixxer 1000. He calls it Kimmy K after Kim Kardashian because it's got a big back end. Heather Arbuthnot says, I hope I pronounced that right, she calls her Suzuki 500E, she calls it Mimi.
I like that. That's cool.
Andy McKibben says he calls his from the Beast from the East. Now, the only evidence I can see of any bike is a Yamaha MT10, so I guess it's the Beast from the East.
MT10, yeah.
David Hall, he says he turns the traction control off in his Ninja and he calls it the Widowmaker.
See, the Widowmaker is the name of the Fireblade, but you can have it.
You can have it. Patrick Hennessy, he calls his 1998 Fireblade the old girl, because that's exactly what she is. She's an old girl from 1998. Penny Clifford, I'm not exactly sure what bike he's got, but I'm not exactly sure what bike she's got, but she calls it the big wank, because it's the feeling she gets after a long day's riding. She goes on to say that she should blush, but she doesn't. And Alan, he simply calls his Bob. And Derek James Dewberry, with some controversy, he says, in my opinion, people who name their bikes usually tend to be plunkers. So he's in the same boat as Chippy.
But it's all the stuff after that comment which was absolute gold.
It all kicked off on Facebook.
Yeah, but let's not mention that. I did that. That's why I said
anybody wants to see the all the hype on that, just go to the Armoy Road Racing page and you can see it on there.
But
it kind of blew up a little bit on Sam.
But yeah, the Armoy Road Racing page is a very, very good page if you like road racing and you want to stay in touch with what's going on the Irish roads. And the last piece of feedback, it's more of a question, but it's something we're going to be getting on to, so I thought I'd put it out now. It's from our long-time listener Harvey. He says, what should Marquez what team should Marquez head to after ditching Honda with the news about him potentially buying out his contract and moving elsewhere? We will be talking about that, I imagine. And he said thoughts on the controversy surrounding the long lap penalties at the weekend. And we will probably be talking about that because there were several incidents on that.
Yes.
But
before we crack
on and get into that, we will go through last week's and this week's Who Am I?
Yes. So Sam, do you want to go through yours?
Right, so I did last week's Who Am I? And the clues were: I won the Malaysian Superbike Championship in 1991. Mm-hmm. I competed in Grand Prix and World Superbike Championships, starting a combined 154 races, and I won only one race. And I competed in the BSB 2002 British Superbikes for Virgin Mobile Yamaha. And did you ever get the answer, Ash?
No, I didn't. I was trying to Google it left, right and centre, and eventually I just gave up because I couldn't find it.
The names I got, some of the names you said here. R. Roach.
Yeah, now he did win a race in the Malaysian Superbike Championship.
Yeah.
No. He won the Malaysian round of the World Superbikes that year.
Oh, right. You also said James Hayden.
That's something I came up with.
Yeah, because James Hayden raced in the Malaysian Superbike Championship. and then you went even worse, and you said Wayne Rainey. Yeah.
Honestly, these were the names that were fucking coming up when I was putting them clues in.
Wayne Rainey.
honestly, I didn't have a clue.
I'm pretty sure Wayne.
So
Rainey
who was it in the end?
I'm pretty sure Wayne Rainey won the Grand Prix Championship in 1991. The answer was Simon Crayford.
Oh right, okay.
Who is now a MotoGP presenter? Yes.
He's yes. He does like the pit lane interviews and stuff, doesn't he?
Doesn't.
You'd have heard his voice.
So Ash doesn't really watch the races, does he? He just...
No.
He disappears. He watches practicing religiously, and then when qualifying or the races start, he disappears and does something else.
Well, no, because Friday practicing, like, you know, you can get around that. But then Saturday, that's, you know, time with the kids, go swimming and stuff. And
well, no, when we went to Knock Hill, qualifying was about to start. You decided to go to the toilet and stuff and go and get a drink.
What?
And then one of the races started, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get an ice cream.
Yeah, but that race was shite.
Yeah, but you missed Q1 of the British Superbikes.
Oh, sorry I needed to go for a shite, Chippy.
The only person to email in with the right answer this week was Harvey. So thank you very much, Harvey, for continually getting in touch. And this week's Who Am I is Ash.
It is. And I've already had to change these ones because apparently they weren't good. And now I'm going to have to try and pronounce somewhere that I'm going to freaking clue out.
Can I just say why they weren't good to begin with? I'll not give away the clues. I'm
going to read out my Who Am I.
All right.
So it's born in Folimopoli in Italy. Raced for Honda, Ducati, and finished at Yamaha, and has never won a MotoGP championship.
Right.
Now Chippy got this instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I did, but it was only because again, like Sam said the other week, it's not because I knew the answer, it's because I knew how your brain worked.
Okay.
The reason I didn't get
Sam
this
clearly doesn't.
The reason I didn't get this one instantly was because before your clues were born in Italy, raced for Honda, Ducati and Yamaha, and never won a MotoGP championship, and I thought I can think of at least 4 Italian riders who that is, who he's not thought of, and I was determined to get them out first just to prove to you that your clues were too vague. And I come up
you never did guess it though.
I come up with 4 riders. I know who it is. I come up with 4 riders as soon as we had let 4 of them pop Olio or whatever it is. I had an idea who it was, as if I didn't have an idea who it was anyway. I was able to rattle off 5 Italian riders who it could have been without even mentioning who it was, even though
I didn't get it straight away though.
I didn't get it straight away, no, but the point is your clues were originally so vague that it could have been 6 people. It literally could have been 6 people.
So as usual, gentlemen, I just can't do anything right. But
yes.
Yeah, anyway, there's the Who Am I for this week. I hope somebody gets it. I'm sure Harvey will.
If you would like to get in contact, you can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. If you want to leave your name, we can read that out in the show. Will we move on then with the news?
The news. Pedro Acosta has dismissed the possibility of remaining in Moto2 for the upcoming year, stating that it is not on the table. Instead, he aims to ascend to MotoGP with KTM, and both Acosta and KTM's management are actively collaborating to reach a resolution. An official announcement regarding this matter is expected within this week.
I think he does.
You can tell that ChatGPT wrote that, can't you?
I think he does right saying, "No, get to fuck from Moto2. I want to be in MotoGP." I think he does right.
I think if he doesn't win the title, it would do him no harm to stay in Moto2 for another year.
Yeah, I agree.
Because MotoGP is saturated with fantastic riders, and and we're looking at riders now, like Marquez, for example. I know there's controversy around what's happening with him, but I'm just using his age, for example. He's not completely past it. He still could win a few races. You know what I mean? He could still do well. He's 30. There's no rush for Pedro Acosta to get there. Like there's talk about Jake Dixon possibly going into MotoGP, and he's 27. So there's time for Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, but I think Pedro Acosta wants to be. He just wants to be the new Marquez. He wants to get in there early and start banging out championships. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, but I'd rather move up, having won the Moto3 and the Moto2 championship, and then complete.
I think when you look
back
at who are the greats, I know it might seem a little bit elitist, but for me, to be like one of the absolute greats, you kind of have to have won the Moto3, Moto2, and then go on to win MotoGP.
Yeah, but he could win he's probably going to win the Moto2 this year.
Well, I don't know. He's still behind Arbolino, isn't he?
And now Jake Dixon's, swinging on all cylinders. He's mounting a challenge now, Jake Dixon. So it's not going to be that easy for him.
Well, not easy, but I think he'll still win it.
You're already giving him the title, and you don't even know if he's going to win it or not.
I think he's going to win it, but.
I think he's a favourite, but it's not in the bag. It's not going to be easy for him. Because there's tracks he just doesn't perform at.
And you don't know what the pressure's going to do to him.
Yeah. Don't forget, I think at the end of his title-winning season in Moto3, he kind of went off towards the end, didn't he? He went like 3 or 4 races without a win, I'm sure.
Did he win, though?
Well, he won, but...
Well, he's not won it.
But doesn't mean he's going to do it in Moto2.
No, might do.
Especially as he's behind at the minute.
Look at freaking Tony Arbolino this weekend. Only finished 6th, didn't he? 6th?
Yeah, he didn't have a great race.
Shite race. So there you go. He might drop back now.
He might. Anything could happen.
I think he's well within his right, though, because obviously he's come up to the end of his time with KTM. And if they're not going to push him onto a MotoGP bike, there is other people in MotoGP that would have Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, but I think KTM, they are finding a solution. They're going to, by the sounds of it, they're going to push Augusto Fernandez out of the Gas team.
I want your gloves, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Yes. And make room for Acosta.
Which, I feel bad for Augustus Fernando, because we've said it before. Why not get rid of Paul Espargaro? He's older. Like, he's not going to win it. He's in the wrong side of his career to win a championship now, unless he's already won one. So, and
he's had his chance. He was on the factory Honda. Where was he before that? I can't remember. Was it like KTM, something like that?
Yeah, it was. I believe it was. Yeah,
he's had chances. And he's never been on like the best bike, but he's had chances to make a name for himself, and I don't think he's had his day.
Right.
Ta-ra to the Espargaros.
Next news story.
Paolo Ciabatti has affirmed that Gresini and Ducati will extend their collaboration into the next season. While no formal agreements or official announcements have been made yet, Both parties have expressed their intent to continue their partnership into 2024. This implies that there will be once again 8 Ducatis on the grid for next season.
Wow. But, I mean, there's going to be plenty of Ducatis next season because they're just smashing it at the moment, aren't they?
I think every team's contracted.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the VR46 team going to the Yamaha, but then I realised after we recorded that they're contracted next year to Ducati anyway, so it'd be minimum year after that they go to Yamaha. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, these teams, they've already got their foot in the door with Ducati. They're going to try and stay there for as long as they can, as long as Ducati are producing a bike that's as competitive as it is. So
definitely,
it just comes down to who's going to be sitting on said bikes.
Yes.
I don't think Bezzecchi and Marini would be very happy if it switched to Yamaha, though. I think they'd be like, fuck, get me on a Ducati somewhere. Who wants to be on Yamaha at the moment? No one.
Well, that's all for silly season, I suppose.
Yes.
Sorry. Next story.
Jorge Martin has announced his continuation with Pramac Ducati for the upcoming year, expressing his contentment with the current arrangement. He confirmed that he will remain with the team and highlighted the satisfaction of having access to the factory bike, further solidifying his decision.
Well, I think that's a good move by him.
Yeah, I mean, he's nothing's officially been announced, but he has basically come out and said he's happy there.
He's happy to stay there.
They're happy with him.
He's so in sync with that bike.
Well, the thing is, it's the 2023 factory Ducati bike without having the pressure of the factory team.
I think that's class.
Pressuring you to win.
I always thought always thought it was older.
Yeah, no, the Pramacs, I'm pretty sure.
They are 2023. Like last week we weren't very sure, but
yes, we found out for definite this week. It is.
I say I've confirmed it. I basically listened more during the MotoGP.
Yes, but yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want to be on that bike? You've got less pressure, and you've got the best bike still. So,
I put a question.
Yeah, I
put a question down for later, but it's kind of comes into now. Who do you think benefits more from Ducati sharing information? Do you think is it Jorge Martin, who's not on the factory bike, getting factory information, or do you think it's Bagnaia, who's on the factory team, getting information from other riders and satellite bikes? Who do you think benefits more?
It's definitely Bagnaia. I mean, look at...
Well, I think they all... Sorry.
I was just going to say, look at Bezzecchi in the sprint race. He absolutely smashed it. And then even the pundits were speaking about the fact that Bagnaia had the data from Bez's bike from the sprint race. And obviously Bagnaia took it. So
Bagnaia just texts and goes, oh, they're doing this. Put that in a 2023 bike.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's even better.
I mean, I think they all benefit massively, but I think you'd want to be on the factory Ducati, because if anyone's going to say, like, no, you're not having any more information, it's going to be them.
Yeah.
Say, like, Bezzecchi and Bagnaia are going for the title, I think the factory Ducati would be like, no, you're not having any information from us. And they'd be the ones you want information from. But I think they all benefit.
Yeah. Hence why Ducatis are absolutely destroying it.
Yes. But it's good though, because I read somewhere this week that Yamaha, when they had the satellite Yamaha, they were treating them more like a customer rather than working with them.
Yeah.
They kind of treated them sort of below themselves rather than helping each other. I just thought I'd put that in.
Yeah, well, it was... you had to take 3 Yamahas that Johan Zarco was on for a while, Dovizioso was on it for a while, Carl Crutchlow was on it, and you never got the impression, like maybe during a wet race, or maybe like if something like drastic happened, or like if it was one of them crazy races where it was like anything could happen, maybe then a Tech 3 Yamaha could win race, but normally you thought they're never going to win. They're not really, they weren't really afforded the opportunity to win, really. Whereas in the Ducati, as we can see, any one of them could win on their day, so yeah, it's maybe a good ethos to share information. And maybe Yamaha might still have a factory team if they would have been played nicer. Anyway, moving on.
At the conclusion of 2023, Dunlop will no longer serve as the exclusive tyre supplier for Moto2 and Moto3, making way for Pirelli to take over. Pirelli will step in as the new tyre manufacturer for both championships, marking a significant change in the tyre landscape for these racing categories. Now, I think this is good news for Brits because it will give more of a production bike feel to the GP bikes. And also British Superbikes use Pirelli, so maybe somebody like Rory Skinner going from BSB to Moto2, maybe the transition will be slightly easier with sticking with Pirellis. I don't know.
Do you think does it simply come down to what tyre company pays the most money, or do you think is there something like Dorna behind the scenes saying, how can we tweak these championships to afford British riders or American riders, you know what I mean, to get in here and actually be competitive, so we can have a championship that's not just, you know, Spanish and Italian?
I don't know really, but like a lot of people swear by Pirellis. They are decent tyres. So.
Bet they do. Bet they say they're fucking shit.
I've never had them myself, but I know a lot of people that have.
Just a little bottom joke there.
Yes, I got it.
Chippy got a nice team laughing. The Egyptians swear by it. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, that's good if it benefits the Brits. Not that we're biased, but if it benefits the Brits, it's good. That's what we like to see.
Yes.
Might help Jake Dixon at the right time.
Might do.
Could do.
Mm.
Yes. Well, if he moves up to MotoGP, then we staying on Dunlop.
I so wish I'd taken that bet with you, Chippy. I really do.
Which bet?
The bet where you said that Rory Skinner... Was it Rory? Yeah, Rory Skinner would end up in MotoGP before Jake Dixon.
Jake Dixon's not in MotoGP yet.
But he still might.
No,
he still might.
It was a bet of... He reckons that Rory Skinner would get into MotoGP before Jake Dixon. And I know Jake Dixon hasn't yet.
But he still may.
Not before Jake Dixon. Not a chance.
Well, you never know.
Also, I did see something on our chat the other day from a while ago. I said, who do you think would win a race first? Out Marc Marquez and Jake Dixon. I'm pretty sure we all said Marc Marquez.
Well, I thought Marquez would have run.
We were wrong.
I thought Marc Marquez would have won a race tonight.
Nah,
yeah,
he's
all wrong.
He's had his day.
Anyway, final bit of news. Angel Piqueras, I don't know if I'm saying that right, has emerged as the winner of the 2023 Red Bull Rookies Championship, securing a commanding lead of 111 points over his closest rival. With 4 races yet to be contested, Piqueras sets his sights on the Moto3 arena for 2024, poised to become a formidable contender. Watch out for the rising star.
Oh God, that has got AI all over that, man.
The AI has done all of my news things. I literally put it in and said, can you reword it to make it sound better? And it did.
Well, that's what it should be used for. Angel Piqueras, he won't be sitting on a Moto3 bike 10 minutes till he'll be talking about, I can't wait to see this young lad in MotoGP. And that'll be it. We'll be trying to fast track him into MotoGP again. And we'll be left in the same position we're in now with Pedro Acosta. It's like, should he go to MotoGP? And it's just calm the fuck down. Just let him race Moto2 first.
I think there is going to be a lot of comparing him to Pedro Acosta because he has absolutely dominated that season. But saying that Rueda dominated last year and he's
but that's the way
not done as well as I thought he was going to.
You just compare the next guy to the last guy. That's what you do. We'll compare him to him. We'll compare him to him. We'll compare this to this.
I'd love it if he was like Acosta. I really would. I'd love it to be another. Because there's a question I asked later on about potential second alien sort of group, but anyway, we'll get on to that. Yes. When we move on,
that
is the end of the news.
The end of the news. Thanks very much, Chippy. Insightful and informative Chippy. As always.
Even though it was all written by AI.
Even though it was all written by GPT, but you know.
No, it was very good.
By AI.
It sounded great.
He basically just went on to ChatGPT and says, please rewrite crash.net for me.
Yes. I mean, it's so good, though. I'm just going back onto it. I sent for it the other day. Can you write me a resignation letter? I'm not leaving my job just for anybody thinks that. It literally did it in 5 seconds. It wrote out this letter, and it was amazing. I'd never come up with it.
Yeah, I asked it to write
It's brilliant.
I asked it to write a CV. It wrote out a CV, and I was like, that's banging. So
Yeah,
that's
but
my CV now.
Instead of him saying to his wife, "Oh, well done for getting so-and-so job," he got the AI to do it and sent it to her in a message.
Yeah, she got a new job this week. She passed her interview, so
Well done,
I wrote
Nicola.
a nice message.
Well done.
yes, well done. But yes, I got AI to write a nice message about how proud I was and stuff.
Well, we move on with the race and the qualifying and what happened and
Should start with qualifying.
yes.
There's not much there.
Well, before we go on to,
Just the
before we go on to the first part, can you remember the incident in Moto3 where the two riders ran into each other?
I did see it. I can't remember. Who it was.
I remember seeing it. I was like,
Wasn't Joe Kelso, was it?
no, it wasn't. No, the
No.
wheels had been turning like 5 minutes in Assen, and this young lad,
Was it a Japanese rider? Was
I
it
think
Sasaki?
so. It wasn't
maybe?
Sasaki, but he just goes and runs into the back of him. He runs into the back of a little gas KTM.
Yeah.
Who's on the
3.
gas? Artigas?
Yeah, I think it might have been Artigas who got rid into.
Hmm.
But yeah, basically did a Joe Kelso. There was a lot of that this week.
Yes.
Yes, there was.
But
Yes, there was.
I heard the commentators going on about it. I forget who it was, but apparently he felt a bit embarrassed about it, as you would. But it was Joe Kelso went up to him and says, "If you're going to do it right and injure yourself for a couple of weeks, like just having a bit of banter about it." So obviously Joe Kelso knows how to make fun of himself, which is good. We'll come on to him later. Yeah, and then it happened again later on, didn't it? In the MotoGP.
Yeah,
Yes,
was
it
it
did.
Marquez went into Bassanini?
Yeah. And Chip Hat
Yeah.
is just dying to come to his defence. So
Come on,
Marquez,
Chippy.
it wasn't his
Was
fault.
Marquez looking where he was going?
No, he was looking round the corner,
Nah,
but so
there
was
you go.
Bastianini. But to be fair, it can happen to anybody, as proven. It's happened to Joel Kelso. It's happened to a few riders. It happened in the British Championship not long ago. It happens.
Yeah.
So
It
Marquez
just happened to
should
happen
have
to Mark
opened his
Marquez.
eyes. He should have put his glasses on like Kelso. That's what he said.
Well, he had his eyes open. He was just looking in the wrong direction. But yes, it was an accident that was Marquez's fault. But
The thing is-
ultimately, it was an
The
accident.
thing is, with the likes of Joe Kelso, and it happening this week as well, I'm not saying they don't know any better, but the fact that they're in Moto3, you kind of feel, oh, we can give them a bit of a bye ball. You know, they're young, they're stupid, they're inexperienced. You know, they're hyped up in adrenaline. But when it comes to seasoned, well, definitely for Marquez, Bastianini, maybe not as much. But when it comes to seasoned veterans, you should retire. But when it comes to seasoned veterans, you don't expect that to happen. Come on.
Yeah. It was an accident, though, wasn't it? It's not like he did it on purpose.
There's a
wasn't
lot
actually.
going on in Marquez's head right now, I think.
I'd imagine there probably
Maybe.
is. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move it on.
Yes.
So nothing else to talk about with the qualifying? Who qualified
There's
first?
nothing else.
Who came
Yeah.
second? So the qualifying ended as Bezzecchi first, Bagnaia second, Marini third, Quartararo fourth, and Bender fifth.
Quartararo did well to qualify fourth, like.
Yeah.
He did do well to get fourth. It looked like
He
he was
did
going to
do
have a,
Qualifying.
You know,
Look,
obviously
like-
he did.
yeah, it looked like he was going to have a good weekend, but obviously, as we know, it came to a smashing end.
Yeah.
It wasn't all bad for him. Wasn't all.
Yeah, we'll get on to the sprint race anyway. So qualifying was the usual qualifying. Can I? Do you want me to recap on the race as I remember it?
Go for it.
So, I think at the start of the race, whenever they all took off, there was Bagnaia, Bender, and Bez, and they were talking about the three Bs being up front. That's what it was, the three Bs. And then Quartararo qualified in fourth, and he held his own throughout the whole race. So he wasn't falling back. He wasn't falling back too far. It didn't look like he was going to drop back, because I thought that he qualified well, but Quartararo was obviously going to go further into the field, and he's going to end up about 12th. But he held his own. He kept the pressure on Brad Binder, which obviously must have been working because Brad Binder was exceeding track limits a few times, and obviously that in the end caused a little bit of controversy. I'm not entirely sure, you maybe hit a recap on me a little bit, but if I remember correctly, about halfway through the race, Bezzecchi got a hold on it, and he started to build up a bit of a gap between him and Bagnaia, and then the race became a race for like second, third and fourth. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did.
Bezzecchi took off.
He did get out in front, yeah.
It took him a few laps. He didn't go straight away, but it took him a few laps. He got into his rhythm. Bezzecchi was able to get a bit of a momentum, get a bit of a lead. There was a race between Bagnaia, Binder, and Quartararo, and it looked like Bagnaia had second anyway. I mean, it was mostly going to be Binder and Quartararo, but the three of them were like on each other's tail the whole way round. And you had Espargaro who was back in like fourth and fifth, but he never seemed to be making it any closer. So he just kind of stayed where he was with the Aprilias. And I think one of the big talking points from it is the fact that Martin, who's like a sprint specialist, he didn't have a terrible week, but he was in sixth place. You think being a sprint specialist, and Assen, all the other Ducatis are up front doing well. Like you had the factory Ducati, you had the 46 Ducati, but you just didn't. None of the Primac Ducatis were up there. Obviously, Gresini Ducatis have just kind of tempered out a little bit this season, haven't they?
Yeah,
they have just kind of dropped away. But so Jorge Martin was sixth. Ultimately, the race finished as it would. Bezzecchi won the race. Bagnaia came second, and this is probably the biggest talking point of the sprint race. Brad Binder came third.
Track limits.
Brad Binder came third. He hit track limits, apparently, and Quartararo was right behind him. And because it was the last lap, Brad Binder had to lose 3 seconds. So he essentially came fifth. Espargaro, who was a good bit behind him, but obviously close enough to be inside the 3 seconds, he got fourth. Quartararo got his first podium.
Yeah.
Which he said himself in Parc Fermé that he felt bad for Brad Binder. And there has been memes all over social media. We know because we've put 3 of them memes on ourselves. There's been memes all over social media. I say we, obviously Chippy. I gave him. Well, did I give you? No, I gave you an idea for a different meme. But yeah, Chippy made a couple of memes because he's the geek guy that can make memes. But
I like making memes.
There's been memes on it, and we're not the only people that think it. And annoyingly, this isn't the only sort of track limits controversy this weekend, but it was the first one. So what do you think?
Yes.
Should Brad Binder have got third place, or should he have indeed had the 3 second penalty?
It was very, very harsh, I think.
It was because he didn't gain 3 seconds, so it would have been harsh to lose 3 seconds, but track limits are track limits.
See, there's a lot of people I see on social media who are showing that one picture and they're like, oh, he's barely on the green, he's not gaining anything from this, and it's like, yes, but is it 5 times you have to exceed track limits before they give you a long lap penalty?
I think it's 3, isn't it? Is it 3?
It's less than the sprint race.
I thought 3's a warning and 5's, or maybe it's a sprint race just 3 times and then you get a long lap penalty.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Once again, we are so informative and know all the answers. Anyway, so my point is that wasn't his first offence. He had done it. He'd exceeded track limits a couple of times, and that was just a build-up. And but ultimately, whenever these guys are exceeding track limits, it's so minuscule. It doesn't help them any at all. Not really.
No. But there has to be a limit.
There has to be a limit. There has to be a rule.
There has to be, but it's the whoever's deciding it. I think they need to. Well, we need to get
if you use that phrase, they have to apply common sense. Then it's coming down to personal preference, because common sense can be bought. Let's just say. If you've got it on a computer, it says he exceeded track limits, you have to follow the computer. If all the stewards are saying we're following what the computer says he exceeds track limits, then you have to follow it. I'm saying this, And later on in the show, I am going to completely disagree with what I've just said there, because you do have to use common sense. But I'm trying to make some sort of sense of it, because if that had been the only one this weekend, I'd have been like, that's it. You know what I mean? It exceeded track limits.
It's like it's like the VAR of bikes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Trying to decide what's offside. Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it is, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a VAR of bikes. It's a Hawkeye of tennis. It's what do one need to call it in cricket? I forget what they call it. They might call that Hawkeye as well.
Don't watch cricket. So
yeah, possibly. I've seen.
But
it.
I was happy.
It's quite
to
impressive,
see
actually. The one in cricket.
Fabio on the podium. It's nice to see him on the podium. So I like Fabio quite rather.
Without just saying, like, obviously people could say he only got the podium because Brad Binder was, wrongly or rightly, whatever, given his long lap penalty. But regardless of that, it was refreshing to see, like you said, Fabio Quartararo racing for a podium and putting Binder in a position where he had to exceed track limits to stay in front of him.
Yeah,
allegedly,
and not been in the bike.
Well, he doesn't bend the bike.
I mean, not saying specifically Quartararo, but I think it was nice to see a Yamaha back up there. Because there should be a Yamaha at the front.
No,
really.
there should be, yeah. And there should be a Honda up there too.
Yes, there should.
But the only... Well, the top Honda was Taka Nakagami.
Yeah, because I think Marquez finished like 17th, didn't he?
Marquez finished.
And it's like the 6th race in a row now. Nakagami's been the top Honda rider.
Well, he's the only one in it, really. He can't not be the top Honda rider.
Pretty much. Yes.
That was... I know it's a sprint race, but that was Marc Marquez's second worst ever result. His worst obviously, if he crashes, that's his worst result. But you know what I mean? When he's finished a race, that's his second worst ever result. His worst being 18th, and that was when he had 2 long lap penalties. So it just shows you where he's at. I know,
and where Honda's at as well.
It shows you where Honda's at, where Mark's
I love how he has to get that in there every time.
Yeah, but it does.
He's right. He is right.
It does. Yeah, it shows you where Honda's at, but there must be something going on in Mark's head, because if Taka Nakagami's finishing 12th, you think Marc Marquez could be the top Honda at least. Yeah,
you would have thought so. Yes,
but it's just. You know what I think? I think Valentino Rossi has got a little Marc Marquez doll, and he just stabs him with pins. That's it. I think he's just stabbing them with pins. You will never be the GOAT. Just stabbing them with pins.
I tell you what was a surprise was Jack Miller was a fair way back. He finished quite far back, and he tends to do quite well in the sprint.
11th place he finished in. 11th place. None of the KTMs really did well, to be honest. Well, obviously Brad Binder, but that was in the sprint. But just forget why I said
Miller
that. I just
on the sprint.
Talk shit.
Usually Miller on the sprint is a lot higher up than that.
Yeah, maybe it just didn't suit him.
Yeah, it's disappointing to see, really. And then, go on.
Do you want to move on to the Moto3, or do you want to talk about the feature race?
May as well move on to the feature race, because that was pretty boring, to be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, was it?
It was alright, but it wasn't.
I think the problem. Well, yeah, the feature race was a little bit boring, but the sprint race was fairly exciting, as it always is. But when it comes to the Sunday, Moto3 was, as always, really exciting. Moto2, which we'll come to,
was amazing.
Had it, reason to get excited. We'll try to just talk about the feature race. We'll keep Moto2 for last. We'll talk about the feature race.
Yeah, Miller. I think it was on the first lap he binned it.
Yeah.
He just straight away, he's just like, what the fuck is he doing? Don't know, maybe just not enough heat in the tyres.
Just trying too hard too early, I suppose. He didn't have a great sprint race. He maybe wanted to get up front and race with the leaders and see if he could make a go of it. I think the biggest point to take from the feature race, we mentioned it about Ducati sharing information. Obviously, Bagnaia gone in to his garage.
Yeah.
He's been like, what's Bezzecchi doing? Because he's miles ahead of me. They've went, oh, this is what he's doing. And he's like, we'll do that to my bike. And then he went out and just absolutely destroyed them. That's what happens when you share information in Ducati. But
I tell you what, though, Bezzecchi wasn't making it easy for him, though. He was
not at the beginning of the race, but as the race evolved, there was big gaps between all the riders. It turned into a bit of a position, didn't it?
But obviously Zarco and fucking Quartararo lost his front end, didn't he? And took out Zarco.
Yeah, it took Zarco out.
They had to look at the replay a fair few times on that. They even had to look at CCTV just to see exactly what happened, didn't they?
That looked nasty. I thought that was going to be a red flag. Like, I was watching it on TV. My wife was pottering around the house, and she always knows whenever you sit forward and your hands are like on your head and you're watching it. And she's like, "Everything all right?" And I was like, "Oh, I think it might be a red flag."
But I'll tell you what was really nice to see was Zarco picking up Fabio off the ground.
No,
that's what Marquez should have done.
He didn't just get up and run away from him and be like, "Oh."
No, that's what Marquez should have done after he snapped Zarco's bike in half. You know, it was nice to see Zarco go straight over to Quartararo and help him up. And obviously, he's twisted his arm, has he not?
He's twisted his elbow, and he needs an operation on his toe. I think he's already had his operation.
He needed an operation on his toe anyway. That was prior because a running accident when he was out.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So in the build-up, he got himself to Holland or Amsterdam or Netherlands, whatever you call it, and he went into the capital and he went for a jog because Quartararo likes to do a lot of running. And during a running incident, he broke or something his toe. That's what happened. Maybe he was helping himself to some local delights during the time. No, that's just a joke. Yeah, so he was out running in Amsterdam apparently, and he broke his toe. So that happened prior to the crash. Imagine dislocating or twisting your elbow or something. Oh man, I know that's one of them.
Sounds horrible.
I've done it to my knee before. It's really, really painful. Twisted my knee.
Now, I think it's worth mentioning, in the feature race, Marquez pulled out again.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was due to injury, wasn't it?
It was his injury, wasn't it, from Germany.
Yeah. But Nakagami finished 8th. Now, I know it's not amazing, but
I mean, there was only 14 finishers, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Still, Nakagami finished 8th out of them 14 finishers. Now, if you at the start of the season, if you had said you got Nakagami, you got Marquez, who's consistently going to finish higher, you would have picked
Marquez.
Well, Marquez.
Yeah, but he's not doing it.
But the riders that finished below Nakagami, they're like Stefan Bradl, Lecuona, Folger.
Lecuona was doing really
Augusto
well at
Fernandez.
one point. Lecuona was in 11th place, and then he dropped all the way back. I don't know what happened.
Who was that?
When was that, in the race?
Yeah.
Who was that?
Lecuona. He was in 11th place at one point, and then all of a sudden his name just chucked all the way down. He must have really messed up or written off or something.
Because he crashed with 12 laps to go, that's why. That usually happens.
But he rejoined. I'm sure he rejoined.
No, he's down as a non-finisher. Didn't finish the race.
Right, I thought he rejoined.
Because the last person was Jonas Volger and he was 14th.
That's a shame for it. Lecuona. I like Lecuona.
I don't rate him at all.
Franco Morbidelli got 9th. Yeah, I just thought I should mention that Nakagami got 8th. I think it's decent. Not bad.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you where the Honda can finish, and he's not even their top rider. He's not even on the factory bike. He's not even the best rider on the satellite bike. he's like their fourth rider, and he's finishing 8th. So arguably the other 3 riders should, if they were all fit, should be finished ahead of him. But then he would probably finish 9th, 10th, 11th, and they would finish 8th. So anyway, but
yeah. So if everybody finished, he'd have probably been down 16th, something like that.
But at the start of Assen, I think Marquez made a statement. I can't quote it, but I can paraphrase it. So obviously that means it's not exactly true. But it was something along the lines of, "Now's not the time to be pushing for wins. Now's the time to be going back to basics and developing the bike." Something along them lines. And I just thought,
makes sense.
No, I thought that makes sense, but it made sense about 3 or 4 months ago as well.
Yeah.
That's always been, in my opinion, it's always been what Honda should have done. But obviously he's a motorbike racer, he wants to win races. So he was trying to push it as much as he could. Without going in and looking at it, what round was this?
Oh.
What number?
Yeah. Without looking at it.
8?
8?
Yeah, it was round 8. Yeah, well done. But whenever you realised or whenever you knew it was round 8, the part of you just think, holy shit, man, it's round 8.
No.
I keep thinking it's such a long championship and we've only just started. And then you're like, oh shit, we're round 8, we're like a third of the way through.
Vinales did his usual, qualified amazingly, and then just threw up the road. I don't think he's got long left at that Aprilia.
He's same again with Pol Espargaro. He's had his chance. He hasn't taken it. Time for him to move on.
I think so.
But then, are we going to get onto Brad Binder again? Copy and paste. Control C, Control V. Demoted one place for touching track limits
again
at the final chicane.
He ended up finishing 4th again. So
yeah,
he must be so angry. Like,
lost out.
He's probably more frustrated at himself. I'd imagine, because I mean, he'd have known that he's done it. It's not like he can say, no, I never touched it. He knows he did it. He's probably more frustrated at himself than he is at the stewards.
You say that, it probably is, but he must look at this weekend and think, but what? you see some other people doing it and you're like...
Yeah, we'll get into that, because we did obviously see a very, very obvious track limits.
Because I think I heard something that it all goes out the window. If you exceed track limits in the last lap, it's a 3-second penalty, regardless if you've got previous. Like, let's say for example you come into a race and you're allowed to exceed track limits 5 times. Doesn't matter if you've done it once or 4 times. Coming into the last lap, if you exceed track limits, 3-second penalty. Because
I've heard something like that.
If let's say for example you're coming into the last lap, somebody could just put a pit board out and say no track limit warnings, or you could get it on your dash, no track limit warnings, and you think, oh, this lap I can exceed track limits 4 times and still win the race. So I think if you exceed track limits in the last lap, you get a 3-second penalty regardless. But if you look at that meme, that picture of that first sprint race, it's very difficult to tell me that the riders behind Brad Binder are not also going to exceed track limits. But they've got the Spanish.
Well, they've got sensors on the track, so they'd have picked it up if they did.
Yeah, but do they have sensors on the track? Do they?
Well,
do they have sensors on the long lap penalty lane?
Not on the long lap loop, because Susie Perry tweeted me, didn't she, to say that they don't have it on the long lap loop.
Can we just verify?
Chippy's new squeeze.
Susie Perry didn't tweet you.
She replied to me.
You replied to her to what she replied to you. She didn't just randomly out of the blue go, oh, and Neil, just hold there, Mr. Gwintoli, please just hold. I've got to tweet Chippy. Oh yes, Chippy. This is how Susie Perry talks now.
Well, no, she's seen the picture that Chippy put up and commented on it. That's right, isn't it?
No,
she posted something. I replied to her, and then she replied back to me.
Oh, okay.
She replied
Still
back.
Pretty cool though.
She replied back a one-word answer and just said, "No."
Yeah.
Hey, it's still a no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susie Perry can say no to me anytime she wants. Right.
Yeah.
Do we have it?
Moto 2?
Do we have it? No, do you want to do Moto 3 first and then do Moto 2?
Okay, should we do Moto 3 and then build up to Moto 2?
Right. Moto 3. Da-da-da.
Right. I wrote this, so I'm just going to read it off. Because I know I picked Sasaki to win in my predictions last week, but I was watching it and really wanting Jaume Masia to win, especially with the nightmare that Holgado had. And I'm glad he did win, because it's kind of blown the championship open a little bit. It's not definitely in Holgado's hands as much anymore.
No, is he something like 16 points behind?
Yeah.
I was willing Sasaki to win, and he wasn't even my choice. He wasn't even my prediction. So want Sasaki to win.
I'd rather Masia win. I'd want Masia to win the championship, because he's been in that championship for a few years now. I'd like him to win it.
Yeah.
But it was a very typical Moto3 race.
It was. And I tell you what, at one point, like, Dennis Onchu, he fell back, like, quite far. I mean, he was in, like, 12th place at one point. and then all of a sudden, in the one corner, he took about 6 people.
Yeah,
There was a lot of
And
that
it was
happening.
just-
They were all over the place.
I mean, the whole front like pack. Usually, like with bikes, it's you have like little groups, don't you? Of like 4, 3, and then maybe another 4 or something like that. This was 10. They were all scrapping 10 of them. It was brilliant.
Yeah, there's 10 of them. I would just like to mention that at the start of the race, Joe Kelso led for a lap or two.
Yes.
Yeah, I did
And
notice that.
he didn't. It wasn't just handed it. He had to push himself in there to get there. And I thought, I was like, go on, lad. Yes, I really want to see. I've got a little soft spot for Joe Kelso because.
Yeah, we noticed.
Well, you know why. And there's also another young rider, Stefano Nepa. He led for a young while for a little bit as well. He's a 21-year-old Italian. They were singing his praises as well whenever he got to the front. That was his first time leading or something.
Yeah. He's been in the championship a few years as well now, 2 or 3
But
years.
he's 21. This is the thing. They come into Moto3 so young.
Yeah.
Like you get what's his name? David Mignot. He's only like 16.
Yeah.
That's his second year. Well, last year he didn't do a full year. He did like a bit of a year. And this year's his first full year. He's only like 16 or 17. So by the time he gets to 21, he'll be a seasoned Moto3 veteran. He'll be a veteran.
Yes. He was a bit aggressive, I must say, at some points. He was on that line, wasn't he? It was good to see, though. I think that's how you've got to be in Moto3.
Yeah.
Just on that edge of dirty.
Well, you're at that.
It's like you say, Moto3, you can get away with it a bit more, can't you?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, young Josh Watley crashed out. I think he crashed out with another rider at the same time.
Yeah, it's a shame. Scott Ogden had a bit of a mare as well.
He did. He was battling with Anna Carrasco at one point.
She's still got 0 points, Ash.
Yes, I know, but still
No,
time
that
yet.
was that was Yamamasia's first race win this season. And you think about the names, like Suzuki's been up there, Holgado's been up there, Onchu's been up there, and this is the first time. Like I've been watching the race and I know who Yamamasia is, but he won the race and I was like, oh, I wonder where he's at in the championship. And it's like, oh, he's second in the championship. He's only 16 points behind Holgado, and it's like he's just slowly, well, not slowly, he's just steadily just been finishing. Him and Suzuki, really. It's a bit tight.
He's a good. I really rate him. I like him.
Would you rather see Masia or Holgado?
Masia.
I'd see Suzuki myself, but yeah, it's very good. It's always very.
But I think Holgado. If Holgado wins the championship, I could see him being Acosta's replacement.
Yeah, definitely. Could go up the ranks with KTM like Acosta's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
I could see it either being Holgado, Masia, or Tola.
Onchu.
Because they are Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got
Well, Tola's had a
you got
good
Onchu
season.
as well, though.
Yeah, but he's no Spanish.
He's KTM.
So he's got
No,
a hard
but
time.
but he's KTM. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good race. It
Still
was,
has 0
like,
points.
Absolutely fantastic race. Joe Kelso, like I said, led for a little bit, went to the back of the field, and I think he's maybe not got enough experience yet because he went to the back of the field down into 10th, and he didn't really seem to be able to use the slipstream. Like he didn't really seem to use it to his advantage in any way. So I think, I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but I think he was just sitting there trying to take it and get some experience, because a few races before this he's either been coming off or finishing right down the pack, and that was his first time racing with the big dogs up front, racing with the big dogs, getting some experience, getting some racecraft, but he ended up finishing 9th. But anyway, I'm in your corner, Joe Kelso, mate. I'm in your corner, mate. Me and the dingoes.
Yes.
I think Joe.
Can we get on to Moto 2 now?
I think Joe Kelso will be good. I think he's got a good career. I do predict that. I predict that. Next big Australian thing. There's right.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, let's go on to Moto 2.
Yes, because I've got a feeling you're putting this off.
Yes.
Did any of you need any tissues? Do you need any tissues?
I'm gonna be honest. I did get very emotional when he crossed the line and he won.
I got emotional as well.
I was like, oh my god, he's finally done it, and you could see how much it meant to him. Like, it meant so much to him. I'm so pleased he won, and he deserved it. He raced the fucking wheels off it.
See, we're not even going to talk about the race. We're just going to be Jake Dixon won, and let's talk about that. We're not just going to talk about the race. Just forget to talk about the race.
No, I mean, obviously he was. At one point, there was a gap between him and Agora of like, because what happened was Pedro Acosta had a bit of a wobble, which meant that Jake Dixon had a bit of a wobble, but he managed to get past Acosta, and then Agora had about a second and a bit on Jake, I think, a gap. It was a fair gap, and I thought he's not going to close that down, but he fucking did.
Well, Jake Dixon's little bit of a wobble was he went far too wide at the hairpin, and he went from first to third. And then
he did that as well.
After that was when Acosta had his little bit of a wobble. Now, the reason I want to talk about the race is because I want to talk about this bit, because this bit is crucial.
Yeah.
Acosta came into the chicane, I think it was the chicane, and he literally lost the front. He was going to crash. So he picked the bike up, he went straight on.
It's such a good save.
Yeah, it was a good save. He picked the bike up, he went straight on, Rossi style 2015, and he looked across and he was like, right, I was in front, and I'm cutting the corner, I've lost the front, so I'll let a rider go in front of me. There was a bit of a gap back to third place. Maybe he could have let him go, but my point is, he went into that corner in first, he's lost the front, he's tried not to crash, he's picked up, he's had to cut the corner or he would have crashed, and he has let a rider in front of him. He could have, he went into that corner in front. If nothing had happened, he was going to come out of that corner in front. And Race Direction, they were like, oh, hold on, he's cut that corner. And well, it's like, of course he has, because he nearly fucking crashed. What else was he supposed to do? And they're like, oh, well, now he's got a long lap penalty. That doesn't make any sense. What doesn't make...
Well, the thing I'm pretty sure he's got to lose a second, hasn't he? And I don't think he lost enough.
What do you mean he's got to lose a second? He went into that corner in the lead. He should have come out of that corner in the lead. Nobody was going to pass him. But then he nearly crashed, so he picked the bike up, and then he purposely let a rider in front of him. As far as I'm concerned, he's lost the place. And he's down to lose.
I get what you're saying.
And then they're like, well, he's got to do a long lap penalty. What, for not crashing? It just doesn't make any sense.
No, because he didn't lose enough time. He gave the place, yes, fair enough, but he didn't give enough. He should have given a little bit more. Apparently, I'm with you on this. He lost the place. But he's messed up. That's enough punishment for me.
Why should he have given more time? Because I don't get my head around this. This is where I'm saying I would contradict myself from earlier, because this is the bit whenever you look at it and be like, well, you need to use common sense. Right, so let's move on. He does his long lap penalty. This is another controversial bit. He does his long lap penalty and he obviously fucks it up, and he's in the green.
He's
Race Direction have picked the best angle they can. They're like, oh, he's only on the white lines, and it's like, you fuckers are on the white lines. You are in that not commentary box. You're in that box doing some, funky white lines. That's what you're doing. If you think for a second he wasn't on the green. You're on the green. You're on the green. You're on the white lines and you're on the green. You can't see what's going on. He was in the green. He was.
Apparently they came out and said there wasn't enough proof or something that he was in the green.
Of course there's no sensors in the long lap penalty lane, is there?
Yeah.
No.
But there should be. That's one of the most important places to have the sensors, I think.
Now, I've not read this. I am just surmising. This is just what I think. This is how I think Race Direction's seen it, right? He's lost the front. He's left it to try and not crash. He's purposely let, is it Jake Dixon or Agura by him? He's purposely let him pass, right? He's gone into second place. Race Direction are now scratching their head and they're like, oh, fuck, he didn't lose enough time. It's harsh, but we have to give him a long lap penalty, right? They didn't want to do it because they agree with us, but letter of the law, you have to give him a long lap penalty. He's now gone in and fucked the long lap penalty up. And Race Direction are now thinking, oh, he gave another long lap penalty. But they're looking at each other and they're thinking, but he shouldn't have really had the first one. Oh, it's fine then. No, it's not fine. If you're gonna punish somebody, you
Yeah.
have to punish them right. You have to be consistent and continue punishing them.
That's
'Cause
what
in my
happened
opinion,
with Quartararo.
in my opinion, if that is what they said, if they're like, oh well, let's not give him a second one because he didn't really need the first one, then don't fucking give him the first one in the first place because he didn't really deserve it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But
Anyway,
it happened a few meets ago with Quartararo, didn't it? He did a long lap penalty, went in, screwed it up, and had to do a second one.
No, but
It happens all the time.
But that's what I mean. I think, like I said, I've not read this anywhere. Nobody's told me anything. This is just me thinking. I believe that race direction didn't really want him to give the long lap penalty because they realised he was trying not to crash. He gave a place away, but by the letter of the law, they had to. He's fucked it up, and they're like, well, we feel it's too harsh to give him another one. Well, in that case, if you're not going to follow through with the rules properly, don't give him one at all. It ruined his race. Not just ruined his race, it ruined a good race because that would have been a good race between him and Jake Dixon.
Yeah, it would have been. I'm just going to point out Acosta because I've noticed Circuit of the Americas especially I've seen a few times he keeps messing his gears up.
Yeah.
It's when he's going into a corner, he messes his gears up and then he's gone off the track and he's lost positions. It's just something he needs to focus on or practice. I don't know. Yeah, it's he does it quite a bit.
But
yes.
Nevertheless, and Agora had a cracking race as well, and he was really humble in his interview as well. You know, he just said, I raced the nuts off it, but Jake was just better than me. That was his words, wasn't he? He was just better at the end of the day, and he was pleased for him as well.
You saying that Acosta has to practice his gears is like you saying Ronaldo has to practice taking free kicks more because he misses some. Anyway, yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, especially if he's going to go to MotoGP.
Yes.
But ultimately,
yes, get the basics right.
Ultimately, I don't think anybody was going to stop Jake Dixon this week.
He was on fire.
There was just something before the race. It just felt like it was his. It's going to be him. He's going to win it.
I got to the point though.
Let's look at it. We're coming into a European triple header. Well, we're coming out of it now, but we came into a European triple header. It was Italy first. We went to Italy. He got a podium which we believed was deserved, but nonetheless fortunate. That's how me and Chippy saw it. But
we then said he's got to back it up.
In order to finish first, or in this case third, first you've got to finish. So he was deserved. He stayed on the bike. It was deserved. Yeah, and then we thought he's got to back it up. And then he came into the second part of the triple header. Germany, he got a thoroughly deserved third place. Arguably could have got second if there'd been another lap or two. So his momentum's building up. Yeah. And then he's coming into Assen. Now, Assen's one of them tracks that, as a British rider, British superbikes and British riders, they visit quite often. I think even whenever they're testing and training, they visit Assen quite often. So it's likely to believe that he had a bit of knowledge of the track, or he's been round it a few times.
I'd say so. Yeah.
But they used to go there. Yeah.
But even if they're not going there, it's still a track that they frequently visit. You know, just for track days and stuff. That British people go there. You know what I mean? They go, especially the riders. You go there. So my point is, he's probably going in there with a bit of knowledge of the track. So that with the momentum, he was looking good.
Yes,
it was great. I'm so pleased for him.
The thing is, me and you were pleased, Ash, but Sam didn't share our sentiment.
No, he didn't.
No, I was pleased for him. I wasn't in awe with emotion as you two were. I was really happy. I was like, yes, Jake Dixon's won, finally. Let's keep this going. And then I looked at the championship and I was like, he's only 44 points behind Arbolino. And we're going to Silverstone next week. Or not next week, in 5 weeks' time. We're going to Silverstone. So this is an opportunity.
The point when he got out in front though, because I said to Chippy, I messaged Chippy, I don't know if it was in the chat or private, but I messaged Chippy and said he needs to stick behind Agora all the way now until there's a couple of laps left, because if he goes to the front, I think he's gonna mess it up. And then he got into first place, into front very front, and I was sat on the edge of my seat like this, like, oh my god.
And he did mess it up the first time because he went wide.
He did. Yeah. And he went wide, and when he went wide, I was like, oh my god, no, he's going to come off, stop it. I couldn't take it. But, so good. But
I do what I mentioned.
I did get emotional.
I do what I mentioned. Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But when he went past Agura for the second time, do you not think it was a touch too aggressive?
It was a bit aggressive. I didn't think it was a penalty, but it wouldn't have surprised me if he'd got one.
No, I was the same. I didn't think it was a penalty, but
no.
Jake Dixon had the pace for that race. And he did that, and I was like, oh, Jake, you don't need to be doing that, because you're giving him a decision to make now. Because he went in, and he was already past him, and he kind of kicked his bike. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if it's a mistake. I don't know if it's his line. But it looked like it was maybe a little unnecessary. He kind of just... like he was trying to push Agura out, and then Agura ultimately had to go wide because he was going to crash. But did Agura have to do a long lap penalty for cutting the corner? No. He didn't have to do a long lap penalty because it's so fucking inconsistent. Oh, but he was knocked off the track. Oh, so if you're going to crash when you're knocked off the track, it's different. If you're going to crash, you just lose the front. Oh, God, it was so all over the place.
Wow.
Yes.
Anyway.
Jake Dixon won, who cares?
Yeah, Jake Dixon won. You sent a message going, oh, I think I'm going to cry.
No, I did cry.
Yeah, I had a little cry. Well, not a cry. It was
a bit of a well up. You know. Like,
yeah.
No, I was really happy for him, but I never got that. I never got that emotion because
you don't like him.
Well, no,
because you're miserable.
I'm not his biggest fan, no. But a British rider won. That's good. But I was like, yeah.
I'm not his biggest fan, but I was still happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. It didn't fill me fully of the emotion that I wanted to cry. Like.
Well, I'm quite an emotional guy sometimes.
Like you were saying to me, you were comparing it to whenever Carl Crutchlow won in Argentina in 2015. You're I admit it that I welled up a little bit whenever that happened. And I was like, yeah, but that was the first time a British rider's won the Premier class in 35 years.
I can't remember what you said when I asked you when Danny Kent won his championship. Did you well up?
No, I didn't. But the reason I say that is because. It's not it was a foregone conclusion, but Danny Kent was in Moto 2 and he went back down to Moto 3, and he went down to Moto 3, and even from the start of the season he was like favourite, or maybe not the favourite, but he was one of the favourites, and then by the time it got towards the end of the season it was like obvious that Danny Kent was going to win, so it wasn't like finally. It was a bit like, oh well, we knew this was going to happen. Happy days. I probably like whenever he was receiving these like actual championship trophy and all, and we knew he was the title winner, I probably welled up a little bit, yeah. And if Jake Dixon wins the Moto2 championship, I will well up a little bit, yeah, well. But
here we go, he's backtracking now.
Just because he's won a race. No. We've had plenty of Moto2 winners. I've seen it all already. Just to back it up now with another race.
It was Jake's first win. It was his first win though.
Yes, it was.
That's what made it so special.
Yeah, for you, you're a massive Jake Dixon fan. For me, it's a British rider that won a race. Really good, happy days. I didn't cry whenever Sam Lowes won a race.
He's won loads though.
I wouldn't well up if Jake Dixon won again. Unless it was in MotoGP, but I don't think he's going to get there, but anyway.
No, anyway. I just want the listeners to know that I do not dislike Jake Dixon that much that I'm not happy for him. I am really happy for Jake Dixon. I'm just not as emotional as you two, obviously. I honestly think I like Jake Dixon more than Chippy does.
You probably do.
Because I could.
I think it's probably on a par.
Because I can read our group chat.
Yes, I think it's Chippy has an issue with. He has an issue with some of the supporters of Jake Dixon.
It's probably on a par.
Yeah, it's not Jake Dixon himself; it's the people who support him. Anyway, should we move on?
Yes.
Because there was some things that we wanted to talk about. Me and Sam were talking about how some riders are crashing a lot in practice because they're having to push early on, sometimes like half an hour into a session,
but
to try and get a good time to get into Q2.
They're going out in practice 1
and they're crashing.
Practice 2, and the thought is, especially with some of the weekends, if the weather's not great, they think, or there's going to be yellow flags, they think we've not got a big window of time to try and get into Q1 or Q2. So practice in itself becomes like a qualifying, and like you said, people are crashing. They've talked about it.
Yes. Yeah. Practice should be for practice, not for qualifying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should be for setting your bike up and getting ready for the weekend. So, Sam, I'm going to give credit to Sam for this one. Came up with this Formula 1 style.
Yeah, so it's a Q1, Q2, Q3. So I can't say I come up with it. I just watched Formula 1, and like I've mentioned before, my brother loves Formula 1. And to me, one of the most exciting parts of it is the qualifying. So the way it works, they changed it a few years ago. Now, if anybody watches Formula 1, they're like, oh, you got that wrong. Just fuck off. But anyway, this is it's something like this anyway. So all the cars go out in the first qualifying. They've had their practice, time to set up. They all go out in the first qualifying, and they get... So in MotoGP terms, there's 22 bikes go out. They get 15 minutes. Now, you can divide this whatever way you want, but there's 22 of them, which is almost 3 sevens, which would be 21. So there's 22 riders go out, they get 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the bottom 8 go back into the pits. Well, they all go into the pits and they have like 5 minutes to turn over, but the bottom 8 don't go back out again. You've now got 14 riders who are in Q2. So a quick turnover, they all go out, they ride around for 15 minutes like they did before, and that's Q2 done. And then the top or the bottom 7 riders go back into the pits, and then essentially you've got your top 7 riders who, you can divide the numbers the way you want, but something like that.
Yes, I think that's quite a good idea, and it'd save all this trying to get qualifying time in practice.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing that, because I know Formula 1 and MotoGP, there's that, oh, we're better, this is better, but ultimately I think throughout the years they have stolen and swapped and taken from each other now and again, because they're two massive championships that, if you, regardless of how you want to say they're different, they do have similarities. But
yes,
so I wouldn't be surprised if he end up doing that, if that ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not 3 qualifying sessions. I still think maybe 2, but send everybody out in the first one. And then
top
10 battle for pole, maybe.
Or it'll probably be the top 12, like something like that, the way they do it already. But then they'll complain, there are too many people on the track. Oh, I can't get enough room. And there'll be people trying to tow, and they'll fuck it up. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be riders that will not be happy. There's not enough room on the track. I can't get a quick lap in. But then it all comes down to, well, I think they have to do something about the yellow flags. They have to do something about that, because that's a big burden. Because you get somebody gets a fast lap in and then goes, maybe they don't do it, but then somebody crashes and it maybe ruins 2 or 3 laps, and it's like, well, I've just got my tyres warm and now I'm ready for a fast lap. I'm halfway around that fast lap, somebody crashes in section 4, that's my lap ruined.
I've got to slow down.
I've got to slow down, and because I'm slowing down, my next lap's not going to be as fast because I'm going into it slower than I would if I was going for a fast lap. Now my tyres are fucked, so I go back into the pits. I've not got any laps in, any decent laps, so...
Yes.
Well, hopefully they'll listen in and take note.
Tickets for the Indian MotoGP have gone on sale, but I'm pretty sure it's still only a provisional thing on the calendar because the safety works haven't been completed and the track hasn't been homologated. Because I remember a few weeks ago there was doubts whether it'd even go ahead, because Kazakhstan got cancelled quite late on.
Mm-hmm. Well, we spoke about this.
I've still got a feeling.
We spoke about this.
I've got a feeling India's still going to get cancelled.
But
they've put tickets on sale. So
saying basically until somebody decides they're all stood there thinking, well, who's going to pay for it?
Yes.
Well,
it's a shame that, because India's
massive bike market.
Massive bike market, And it would be good just to have a MotoGP race there.
Yes.
Wonder how much the tickets are for the MotoGP in India.
I wouldn't imagine it'd be that expensive. But then, on the other hand, it's a massive juxtaposition in India because you've got the very poor, but you've also got the very rich. So
Yes.
people there with plenty of money in their pocket who could pay.
Yeah.
And you know you're going to pull in tourists. And a lot of money goes to India just on holiday and stuff. So they could put the prices as much as they want. It depends. It depends who they want to come to the race. Do they want the massive elite to come from all around the world to descend on India to watch the race? Or do they want to put it at a price that locals can go as well and enjoy?
I think they
Yes.
should do a random little bring your Royal Enfield race.
The thing
in
is,
India.
from my experience in India anyway, having been there for a few months, even if you make it for the super rich and they all turn up, just the chaos of India will just surround it. For you'll get
Yes.
within about 2 or 3 miles of it, and it'll just be chaos. They will be.
God, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah, I know.
I really couldn't.
It's the best country I've ever visited. It's like
It's not a country that appeals to me in the slightest.
I was watching the earlier on, the old Top Gear episode where they're delivering them lunches in India.
Yes.
And I was looking at it, and I just looked at all the hustle and bustle and how many people there were, and I said to myself, the only reason I want to go to India is to try the food. That's the only reason I want to go. The rest of it, I'm just not.
I wouldn't mind visiting the Taj Mahal.
shite.
Is it?
Crap.
Okay. I've got no reason to go to India at all then.
No,
I bet the food
I'll
is
give it a
banging
due.
though.
The Taj Mahal it's awe-inspiring, but if you go to India and travel around it and see all the other things that India has to offer, by the time you get to Taj Mahal, you're like, meh.
I just like the idea that it's all symmetrical each side.
I like the idea of being able to walk around the corner and just get a mango lassi whenever you like. I'm obsessed with that. So good.
He's so fat. Anyway, moving on. What was everyone's thoughts on? I can never say his name. Alberto Puig's comments on when talking about Marc Marquez's future. He said, "Marc has a contract, but everyone is free to do what they want in life, and Honda doesn't want to keep people who are unhappy to be there."
I think
What did you make of
what
that?
he's saying is, I think basically saying is there's a contract in place. Contracts should be adhered to. They should be followed. However, Marc Marquez is big enough and famous enough and powerful enough that if he was to come out and maybe paint Honda in a bad light, that wouldn't be good for Honda, and it would be something that they maybe couldn't work in their favour PR wise, because Marc Marquez is who he is. So I think they're in the position where it's like, we realise we've got a contract, but ultimately if Marc Marquez wants to go, Marc Marquez will go.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think he should. Everyone does, I think.
Again,
Probably even Honda.
I'm going to make another Ronaldo sort of, what's the word, segue. Like whenever he was at Man United, and Ten Hag just kept holding on to him, and you're like, you just have to let him go, man, because it's not doing anybody any good. It wasn't doing Man United any good, wasn't doing Ronaldo any good, wasn't doing Ten Hag any good. So just let him go. It's the same with Marquez. If he wants to go, contract or none, you hate to let him go, because it's not doing anybody any good.
No.
It's not going to help develop Honda.
I think
It's not going to help Marquez win another championship. And Honda want to build better bikes. That's what they want to do. They want a championship winning bike. And I know Marquez maybe at one stage could have won a championship in any bike, but he's not going to do it now. And he's not in the mindset or has the patience to start developing the bike for the next rider to come up and win championships. He wants to be the rider winning championships. He doesn't want to be a test rider. He doesn't want to develop a bike. He's just going to get frustrated, more annoyed, and it's going to piss him off. And he'll just paint Honda in a bad light, and it doesn't make Honda look very good. The fact that there's somebody who's so in the limelight, shining a light on Marquez, and they see it, he's being treated unfairly. That's the way it would look. It was like you're holding him here against his will. He wants to go away. He wants to move. That's kind of what I thought.
think it'd be better for everybody if he goes, but I think It'd be especially good for Marquez if he gets a fresh start somewhere.
Maybe that's what he needs too. Maybe that is exactly what he needs. He just needs, like, obviously
different people around him.
Obviously, there's certain members of his entourage, let's just say, who I think would go with him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
but there would be the overheads and stuff who would change. I think that needs to happen.
Yes.
Ultimately, though, I think wherever he goes, he's not going to perform very well. I don't think.
I think he will.
I'm on the fence. I don't know, because I think if he goes to Aprilia, he could get more out of the Aprilia than what, say, Vinales is getting out of the Aprilia.
Absolutely, I agree with you there.
You get consistent podiums if he went somewhere like Aprilia.
But I don't know if he'll get podiums, but he'll be consistent.
He would.
Nah.
But this is what it comes down to. I still think Marquez would crash, because even when he was winning championships, Marquez crashed. Not so much during the race, but he was willing to go out and push the bike to its limits during practice, for example, and he was happy to crash. He was like, I'll go out, I'll push the bike, if I crash. You know what I mean? I know where the limit is then. But the thing is now, whenever he crashes, he just gets injured. He's getting injured too much. So he can't ride like that anymore. He can't ride with that same mentality. So he's almost has to change his riding style a little bit. Like, not his riding style, but he has to change his attitude to how he races. But again, put him in a bike that's more competitive, like the Aprilia, he'd maybe go into it thinking, I don't hate to push the bike so much now, because I'm on a bike that can get me a podium. So ultimately, I agree with you, Chippy. I think, and it pains me not to say it about Marquez, just to agree with you. It pains me that, but I think that's the best place for him to go. I think don't go to Ducati because they don't need him, they don't want him. Don't go to KTM because they've said they don't want him. Can't go to Yamaha. Go to Aprilia. He needs to go to Aprilia. If he goes to Aprilia, I'll get excited.
Yes.
I think it's his
and
best
that's answered
chance.
both questions from Harvey.
It has, yeah. I think it's his best chance if he does go to Aprilia, but I still can't see him doing a lot myself.
The thing is, if he goes... Sorry, go ahead. We've talked about it.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say about... final question from me that I came up with this week. Do you see a potential second alien generation with riders like Bagnaia, Jorge Martin, Bezzecchi, Acosta, Bastianini, maybe even Quartararo?
I think if Bagnaia wins this year, he cements himself as a MotoGP alien. Because he's the first rider since 2018? Since Marc Marquez to have won multiple titles. And then it ultimately comes down to, I don't know, because who were the original aliens? You had obviously Valentino Rossi, Jorge Lorenzo, Dani Pedrosa was in there as one of the aliens. At some point you had Marc Marquez come up and he was one of the aliens. Maybe Casey Stoner at one point whenever he was in it. But all barring Dani Pedrosa, who, everybody knows how we all feel about Dani Pedrosa, but all barring him, they're all MotoGP. Every one of them was MotoGP winners. Every one of them won a MotoGP champion or a 500 Grand Prix championship. Every one of them won a Premier title. And let's be honest,
the only thing I've been thinking, the only thing I've been thinking is, because of how good the Ducati is, does that kind of, it's almost like anybody could win on that.
Yeah, but there's 8 Ducatis, so if anybody could win,
there is.
You still had to beat the other 7.
It's true.
I think
it's true, but does that make Bezzecchi and Jorge Martin, does it make them better than they actually are?
I wouldn't say Bezzecchi or at this point Martin are aliens. No. I know you could say, Dani Pedrosa didn't win a championship, but Dani Pedrosa won a MotoGP race or a 500 Grand Prix race consecutively, season in, season out, and he was runner-up at least twice. And he's probably runner-up more than twice, but he was runner-up to Marquez twice, and he was consistently one of the best riders on the grid.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think if Bagnaia wins, he's he could be considered an alien because he's the first rider since Marc Marquez to win multiple titles.
Yes.
And then it comes down to, like, put Quartararo onto a decent bike. Could he be an alien? Could he be one of the aliens? Jorge Martin has obviously proven himself to be a very good rider.
Yes.
But yeah, to have that sort of envelope of aliens, like, as a spread, aliens, I'm not sure we're quite there yet.
I think we need multiple manufacturers as well.
Yeah.
So you need to be like, you need a Honda consistently winning. You need a Yamaha, not just Ducatis. Maybe, I don't know. It's difficult to say.
I think Ducati's definitely getting the manufacturer's trophy this year.
Yeah.
I haven't put a question in here, but I've just thought of one while we were talking. Realistically, looking at how the championship's going, who do you want to win the MotoGP?
Me.
Well, what?
No, I'm just wondering who's going to answer first.
I'm still thinking.
Personally, myself,
everybody who's realistically in it.
I would love to see Marco Bezzecchi win the championship.
I knew you'd say him. It's always so up his arse.
I think he's class.
I don't know, probably Bagnaia, because I'd like to see... I want to see like a sort of dominant force. You know, a rider to beat.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because that's what we've been lacking the last few years.
I kind of feel like that as
like
well.
Joan Mir.
I kind of feel like that as well. I kind of feel like I think that's what MotoGP's been lacking this past couple of years, because obviously you had Marquez won in 2018, or did he win in 2019?
He won 2019.
He won 2019.
Well. That was his last year.
Joan Mir won 2020. No.
Yeah.
Quartararo won 2020, didn't he? Or Joan?
No, I think it was Mir then
won
Quartararo.
Yeah, it was Mir first.
Quartararo won 21. Bagnaia won 22. So it's been like, it's just been like one rider after another, and whenever that happens, it's like, oh, you won one championship, it could be a fluke. Maybe one rider just didn't turn up for a few races, but as soon as you win two championships, you're like, well, it wasn't a fluke, I backed up. And then that means, like, you get to push, like you said, you get to puff your chest out, and you're like, I'm the man to beat. And then if somebody does go on and beat him, that's not just like, oh, that was a fluke. It's like, I beat the 2 times world champion.
Yeah.
So
I think that is what MotoGP needs.
So I'm with you. I think
a benchmark.
I think I would ultimately, for the good of the sport, I'd like to see Bagnaia win it again, just to really, like, set a milestone down. I am the man to beat, on the bike to beat.
Yeah.
Be pretty crazy though if Bezzecchi won it.
I think
I don't want him to win now just because you love him so much.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Well, thank you for your answers, John.
They are getting a good, like, slowly. Bagnaia is slowly eking out a gap.
Yeah.
He's 35 points ahead of Jorge Martin and 36 points ahead of Bezzecchi. So
and let's
he's almost
see if
he's almost a whole race meeting ahead of them.
Yeah.
So he's at that.
But the thing is, when he finishes second, he seems quite happy finishing like second and third. He knows the points matter more than getting the win.
His title contenders now are Jorge Martin and Bezzecchi. Brad Binder's kind of fallen off a bit. He's only got 114 points. He's fallen back a bit. So his title contenders are Jorge Martin and Bezzecchi. So as long as he's finishing, like, if he finishes second, it means one of them's finished below him. You know what I mean? And then if he goes out the following week and finishes second, it's maybe another one's finished below him. As long as he stays consistent, I think that's ultimately what he has to do now. He just has to stay consistent, because the other two are on satellite bikes. Bezzecchi is very consistent, and that's been his.
Yeah.
You know, that's been to his advantage this year, but he's not winning races to the extent that you would like. Not like Martin. Jorge Martin, after the first couple of rounds with hardly any points, and then because he's done well and he did a double, he shot up the championship and he's now in second. But is he going to be able to sustain that? Whereas Bagnaia just has to stay consistent, and I think he's got the championship in the bag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, should we get into silly season then?
Silly season.
Yeah. We'll start it off with this from Chippy.
We can't hear it during the recording, but we can hear it during the edit.
During editing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So the ones I picked up on this week. Well, actually, just before we get into it, I was just going to say it's probably the last one we'll do.
Have you put this on the dock?
Everything usually gets announced in the summer break, doesn't it? Or a lot of moves.
Yeah, they come
announced.
back after the summer break, and we've got most of them are filled. There's only like one or two places, and it's kind of at a position where you can kind of guess who's going to go there. Yeah.
Yes, but the first one I got, either Joan Mir or Alex Rins, both linked with Yamaha replacing Morbidelli. What do you make of that?
I reckon it's probably more likely going to be Joan Mir. Because Alex Rins has had that accident.
Well, Joan Mir isn't exactly a pillar of health at the minute either, is he?
No, I suppose not.
No.
I'm going to be.
I think out of the two, I'd rather go for Alex Rins.
I would rather Alex Rins probably go.
None of them make me none of them make me excited. I know Joan Mir's a previous MotoGP winner, but none of them, like going to Yamaha, none of them are like, oh well.
Yeah,
they're definitely Yamaha's magic sponge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Episode title: Yamaha's magic sponge.
I think Alex Rins is more likely to get it, but I think Joan Mir having his title, I think, will really help him.
Yeah, probably will. Yeah.
But at the same time, neither of them really excite me going there.
Do you really think they're excited about going there?
I think they'd be more excited going there than staying at Honda.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much more to say about that.
No.
So the next one we got Andrea Iannone. His ban expires this year, end of this year, so he's free to race next year. He's been testing a superbike at the same test Bautista was at. So could he be heading to World Supers?
Wait a minute. Did Ian only get a ban?
Oh, shut up. Yes, he got banned.
Yes.
What superbike was he testing?
Ash, I don't know. I have no idea. It's just a superbike was all I heard.
Just there. I think
he's just there on a superbike.
I think Iannone, obviously, I don't think he was ever going to get back into the MotoGP paddock. Like, there's constantly fresh talent coming into it, so it's that, like, do we really need him? Do we need to take a risk? Maybe he could have went in as a test rider, but he maybe doesn't want to do that. If he wants to be competitive and race, then World Superbike seems like a good fit for Andrea Iannone.
Yeah.
It's just, where does he go? Where would you put him?
That's the thing. There's going to be a lot of good riders going to World Supers, I think.
Yeah.
Where would you put him?
There's going to be a lot of talent in that paddock next year. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who you'd get rid of.
Depends, yeah.
Who's on the Honda? Lecuona and Vierge. Maybe replace one of them.
Yeah, where does Lecuona go?
Iannone's a good rider. I put Iannone in the right bike and he could win World Superbikes, I think. Or he could at least fight for the title. He's not going to fight for the title on a Honda. That's not saying he's not going to go to Honda. I'm just like, I want it to be as exciting as possible.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that seats free top racks for next year, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
is Alex? There's talk about Alex Lowe's going to Honda and Vierge going to Kawasaki. Was that it? Them doing a swap.
something like that,
Doing a
yeah.
swap.
Yeah.
Iannone could go to Kawasaki. Then where does Vierge go? But Iannone was on a Ducati. Was he? He was on a Ducati. That was his last, or was it? No, he was on a Yamaha, was he? He swapped a bike. He's another one of them riders that.
I thought it was a pretty.
See, he's another Italian rider. It's been on he's been on a Ducati. He's been on a Yamaha. And he's been on a Honda.
Was he on Suzuki at any point?
He's been on a Ducati, Suzuki, and Aprilia.
Yeah, I knew he'd been on a Suzuki.
Can't remember what his last bike was, but yeah, at one stage I really rate it. Andrea Iannone, he was a good rider.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think put him on World Superbikes, he might be able to do well if he gets the right bike, obviously.
Yes. It's Grassini that he was on for his when he got banned. Aprilia.
Oh yeah.
Grassini. With Alicia Spargaro.
Do you want me to read the next one? You alright reading it?
Go for it.
LCR Honda Idemitsu, Nakagami, or Agura, or maybe even Sonkia Chantra. What, to LCR Honda?
Yes. Yeah.
I think Agura would be class there, to be fair.
Well, he got offered the ride there last year,
But he turned
it down because he wanted to stay in Moto 2.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason Nakagami kept it. So I don't think Nakagami's going to be there next year. I think it is going to be Agura.
I don't think Nakagami's safe. Do you think does Nakagami know that riding around, and that's why there's no pressure on him? Maybe he's just riding around thinking, well, I'm just here because I've just lucked out, really.
I'm cashing out a paycheck.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he's just quietly getting on and finishing 8th on the Honda.
Yeah.
So apparently nobody else can ride. Anyway, there we go.
But then again, if Agura thinks he could win the Moto2 championship, he could turn it down again.
Yeah. Why? But how many years can you keep doing that? How long can you do that?
I know.
Because I said, oh, Jake Dixon, I think, should turn down. If he doesn't win Moto2, he should turn down a MotoGP. But the following year, if you still don't win Moto2, well, then if you get an offer to MotoGP, you hate to go because being an old crusty man, I just want to win my championship, that right? Did you hear what I know we're digressing a little bit here, but did you hear what Zarco said when they talked about what's his name? What's his name?
Augusto Fernandez.
Not Augusto Fernandez. What's his name? The Moto2 rider, KTM.
Albert Arenas?
The Moto2.
Pedro Acosta.
Acosta, that's it. I don't know why I just had an absolute brain fart there. Pedro Acosta. So did you hear what Johan Zarco said when they were talking about Acosta coming to MotoGP? They got a press conference and they're asking everybody about what do you think about Acosta, and most of the riders were saying, oh, I think he's ready. I think you can obviously see that he's ready to come to MotoGP. They came to Johan Zarco and they're like, oh, what do you think, Johan? He's like, I think I better win a race before he gets here. I'm never going to win one once he is here. So I don't think you will. As much as it pains me to say.
Yes.
That one there, I think Agura probably come up.
Yeah, I think Agura. It'd be stupid to turn it down because I say the door never opens twice, but if it does, then he's got to take it the second time.
Has Honda like always got like a habit of trying to have a Japanese rider within their?
I think they do.
Yeah, the LCR Idemitsu or whatever, I'm pretty sure is supposed to be a Japanese.
Yeah. So
I quite like that though.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being a little bit nepotistic about it. Try to keep it's nice to have Japanese riders in the championship. It'd be nice to see a Japanese rider win the championship.
I think also with the Asia Talent Cup as well, and they like to see a rider go up.
I like how
up to that team.
I like how this next one you've read one from Chippy, as if any of the other ones hasn't been from you.
I know it's only me that's put any of these on, but I was thinking the other day, factory Ducati. Obviously, you got Bagnaia as a number one rider. At the minute, if the second seat was free, who would you go for out of Jorge Martin, Bastianini, or Bezzecchi? Who do you reckon would be on that?
Well,
next
Jorge
year?
Martin has already come out and said that he is happy and content to stay where he's at.
Yes.
So are you just asking?
So I can't see it being him.
You're not asking me to think with my head. You're asking me to think with my heart. Who would I like to see?
Well, I put this before he announced he was staying.
Bezzecchi.
Thingy, but
Personally,
I knew you'd say
personally, I would like to see Bastianini getting given another year because I think he's had a hard time this year with his injury. I don't think he's had a good run at it.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, if Bagnaia wins the championship, Ducati are not in a position where they need a rider that because they've already got the champion. They're in a position where they can be like, okay, let's give Bastianini another run because all we're looking for now is a number 2 rider, and he's definitely that.
Yes.
So I would like to see
I agree.
I'd like to see Bastianini be given another chance due to the fact that it's not his fault. His season has been like wrecked.
But he could swap places with Marquez.
But of course, Ash, you just don't think like that. You're just like, I like Bezzecchi.
Why does he love Bezzecchi?
Just that. And Bastianini's not.
And do you know what?
And
what if Bezzecchi finishes this season in second place? Why wouldn't he go to fucking factory Ducati?
What if he finishes in second place?
Bagnaia?
Yeah, but that's not what I said. Well, why would they? Bastianini.
Yeah, but Bastianini's been out for
injured. That's why I said that's why personally I'd like Bastianini to stay there because he's not had a good run this year. He's not had the opportunity to show what he can do.
I still rate Bastianini over Bezzecchi.
Yeah, me too. I think Bastianini.
We will see what happens.
think Bastianini this year, if it hadn't happened, what did happen, would have been a title contender, no doubt.
Yeah, I rate Jorge Martin over Bezzecchi as well, personally, but
so does the
there's not much in him, I don't
championship
think.
because he's a point ahead.
Yes. My last one. Sorry. Assuming Pedro Acosta goes to the Gas team, who do you think is going to be his teammate? I've put some suggestions down: Pol Espargaro, Arbolino, Jake Dixon, or Augusto Fernandez, as he's there now, or somebody else.
It's probably going to be between Arbolino and Jake Dixon, I think.
Well, Arbolino is rumoured to be taking Didier Antonio's seat at Grassini.
All right. I'd love to see Jake Dixon do it. As you both know, you two have got your own little things there saying that you'd rather him stay in Moto2 and try and win that. But
unless he wins the championship. If he wins the championship, then I'd be happy for him to go to MotoGP.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if he gets offered a position alongside Pedro Acosta, he's going to take it. He'll take it.
I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying he wouldn't. But
he's 27 now.
But the way I look at it is, if Jake Dixon doesn't go to MotoGP, Acosta and Arbolino do, and maybe a few other ones do, he's favourite to win.
Jake Dixon favourite to win. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I do agree with you. But if he gets offered it, he's going.
How do you know? Do you tell him that?
No, I know he will.
Yeah, I reckon he would.
Yeah, I think he would as well.
But then, it's just obviously I'm not a motorcycle rider. I know you want to be in the best championship. You want to race against the best. In order to be the best, you got to compete against the best. But do you want to look back in your career and be like, oh yeah, I got to ride MotoGP, which is obviously really cool. Or do I look back and be like, I was a Moto2 champion, but I never got to ride MotoGP. I'm gutted about that, but I won the Moto2 championship.
Oh, no, I think it was
I was a world champion at something.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. You know what the question is. Would you rather be a rider who had a decent career in MotoGP but never won any titles, or would you rather be a rider who won Moto2 but never had a decent MotoGP career? Long pause.
You'd be a world champion. Yes, be a world champion. I'd definitely take the Moto2.
Put it this way: imagine Johan Zarco never won his Moto2 championships. You would just look at him and be like, oh well, he'd be like Andre and they won his champions as well. He'd be like, oh, what I mean? Meh.
Yeah.
But he's a two-time Moto2 champion, so you're like, yeah, he's obviously an absolutely phenomenal rider.
Like I say, don't get me wrong, I agree with you completely. If he was to stay at Moto2 and all of them guys move up, he could probably have a really good chance at winning the Moto2 championship. But
Let me ask you another
gets off on
question.
the ride,
Ash.
he's going.
If Jake Dixon goes to MotoGP, do you think he'll be a title contender within 2 years?
In 2 years, no.
Well, have you, judging by experience, if you're not a title contender within 2 years in MotoGP, you're not a title contender.
Yeah, but it takes
Because
it's
only going to evolve and become harder.
Yeah, but it's going to take a year for it's going to take a season for him to get used to everything, iron out the creases and whatever team he's in.
So if you want to be a contender,
Hang on, I said that about Rory Skinner the other day, and you're like, oh, Rory Skinner hasn't got what it takes to be in Moto2. And I told you, no, it takes time to get used to the bike.
Nah.
And you were slating him.
I wasn't slating him. I haven't got anything against Rory Skinner. I was just saying to you, I think Jake Dixon will end up in MotoGP before Rory Skinner does.
Where do you think Jake Dixon will finish in his first season in MotoGP?
I'm going to see the riders that I think will finish before him.
I'm going to say around 12th.
Oh, God. You're so naive. I think he'd be either at the back or like third to the back.
I reckon about 12.
I don't think he'd do much.
First season.
Well, looking at this season, I can't see it changing much next season. People might move about a little bit, and there'll be other people in there. But you've got Bagnaia, Martin, Bezzecchi, Bender, Zarco, Marini, Miller, Espargaro, Fabio Quartararo, Alex Marquez. Like 12th, you're talking Morbidelli, Vinales, Alex Rins.
Alex Marquez isn't that great, though, is he really?
He's not, no.
He's better than Jake Dixon.
We don't know that yet.
Well, Alex Marquez won a Moto2 championship.
Yeah, and a Moto3 championship.
Can't win a MotoGP championship, though, can he?
No, but Jake Dixon.
But he can win the Moto3 championship and the Moto2 championship, and he's on a Ducati, and he's still only in 10th place. Actually, Alex Marquez is behind Fabio Quartararo, who's on a bike that we all agree is pretty shit. Why is Alex Marquez in 10th? He should be higher up than that.
Yeah, he's not having a great season.
He's not.
Yeah, I thought he'd have a better season
He's
than
having a
this.
naff season.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Like, you get to the very bottom, and you got riders like Stefan Bradl, Johan Mayer, who should be higher, like Danelio, Patrici, who are obviously just stand-ins. So, but once you get into the actual riders, like Miguel Oliveira, Taka Nakagami, Fabio Di Giannantonio, do you think Jake Dixon's better than these guys?
I think so.
Maybe Digi.
Augusto Fernandez. Do you like? We're thinking he's going to go to he might go to Gas KTM. So Augusto Fernandez. Imagine he's just going to go onto Augusto Fernandez's slot at the Gas KTM. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's what we're thinking.
Augusto Fernandez is 14th. Is he a better rider than Augusto Fernandez?
I think he will be.
No.
I think he's on par.
Do you know what?
Basically.
I really think he would surprise a lot of people.
I hope he does.
I do.
Cool.
I'd love him if he did, but I don't think it'll happen.
I think it will.
We're going to have to agree to
I'm going to
disagree
stick
on
to
that.
my guns like I am with Sasaki winning a Moto3 race.
We might find out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If he does move up, silly season coming to a close.
Just I can go. "Ah!"
I hope the pressure doesn't
Well,
get
we
to
can
Jake
go
Dixon
far.
when he's in Silverstone. Because he's at a home race. He's just won a race.
He should be winning that, shouldn't he?
I know he should, but you know the pressure. You go out in Silverstone, it's like the weight of all them people.
Yeah.
Like going out there, knowing that everybody there not just wants you to win, but they're in a position now where they almost expect you to be winning. You've had two.
Yeah.
You've just had 3 podiums, one of which was a fairly confident one. You're coming to your home track, a track you should know, and it's like, well, we've come here to what? Like, imagine you putting the camera in front of somebody's phone, or putting the microphone in front of somebody's face, and you're like, what have you come here for? And it's like, well, I've come here to see Jake Dixon won a Moto2 race. That's what you've come here for. I just hope that pressure doesn't get to him, because
Or
Because
Sam
I said
Lowe.
it. So he's or Sam Lowe's, but Sam Lowe's is not a title contender this year. You know what I mean? He's
No,
he's
he's
no
not.
battling. Like if you said to me, Nick, if you said to me in 5 weeks' time, who would you rather see win the Moto2? I'd rather see Jake Dixon win the Moto2 because if he wins the Moto2, he's 5 points closer to whoever's in the lead, and that's only if they come second. So he needs to win the next race to bridge that 44-point gap, especially if he wants to go to MotoGP. Like if he goes to MotoGP and he's not a Moto2 race or a Moto2 champion, you at least want to take the title to the wire. You want to be going to MotoGP with your chest puffed out, being like, oh, well, I was this close to winning Moto2.
Yeah.
Well, we shall see. We shall see, and I hope he does win it. There we go.
Right, lads, I think we should get on to our predictions
Yeah.
for Donington.
This has probably been our longest ever episode.
Well, we've had one at 2.5 hours before, I'm pretty sure.
Have we?
Yeah.
I haven't even listened to the last one.
I listened to it a bit earlier when I was walking the dog.
I don't listen to all of it because I listened to the whole thing when I edited it anyway, so I'm like, not fucking listening to it again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I turn it on when I'm in bed and I just turn the volume right down, that way it plays the whole way through and it makes it look like we've had another listener. And then I look at it and I'm like, oh yes, we had a listener. Oh yeah, that was me. So episode 16 was, yeah, it was over 2.5 hours. Well, it was around 2.5 hours. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so shall we do our predictions for Donington Park?
Bautista to win
So
everything.
we're basically saying, do you think Bautista's going to fall off or not? The answer is no.
No.
I
think. Yes.
Right, well, how about we fuck off World Superbikes and we talk about the other races then? What about World Super Sport?
Belega.
Because it's on the Ducati.
Yes.
Yeah. He's
There's actually going to be some good stuff at Donington because you've got the Yamaha R3 Euro Championship, you've got British Junior Supersport, British Junior Supersport, the BMW F900 Cup, so you can see Richard Cooper.
Mate, your favourite rider?
I actually really like Richard Cooper,
you don't.
yes.
Stop lying.
I do, I love Richard Cooper.
You
know I do, so I'm not even getting into
you keep
this.
changing your mind in this.
No, I don't. I love
You
Richard
slag him off
Cooper.
so much whenever.
I've not. I just don't think he should be in that
You're
championship.
like, oh, he only went to that championship so he can win. He's just greedy.
No, I said he's just... No, I just don't think the championship's going to do him any good. Or the championship any good. But I love Richard Cooper. I think he should be in British Superbikes, as in the Superbike class, personally. Okay, well, for World Superbike, I'm going to go for Bautista. World Supersport, I'm going to go for Belega. The BMW F900R Cup, I'm going to go for Richard Cooper. Yamaha R3 Blue Crew Euro Championship, I don't even know who's in that. British Junior Supersport, don't know, I need to have a look at that. I can't remember the riders in that. I always get confused between Junior Supersport and Junior Super Stock.
See, the thing
Confusing
is,
which one.
now Chippy's chosen all those people, there's no point really in choosing anybody else because he's got it off.
Yeah, but we're all going to choose the same riders, really, aren't we?
I would be agreeing with you because it's what's going to happen. And this is why it would be nice when, obviously, we do have a bit of a changeover in the MotoGP paddock and we get some fresh riders come into World Supers. It'll make it exciting again, I think.
Yeah, but I thought that last season, when Petrucci would go there, I was like,
Petrucci's
oh
going
yeah,
to
he's going to
stick
do
it
really
him.
well.
Shite.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite really disappointing, isn't he? In World Supers. Yeah. Does that about wrap it up, gentlemen?
I guess what we're trying to say, folks, is if you're still listening to us, probably the only people that will go this far is ourselves, maybe our mums, but if you're still listening to us, then thanks very much. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it when you listen to us. We appreciate it even more when you get involved and send us emails and let us know how much you love our show. We know you love our show. We can run through the socials quickly. Do you want to do that, Ash?
Yeah, can do. You can email us at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. We're on YouTube, just search the Big Bad Bike Show. On Twitter @BigBadBS. And then on Facebook is our most popular part, which is the Big Bad BS Facebook group. That's where we get most of our activity.
The Big Bad Bike Show Facebook page. I would like people to join our page, our official Facebook page, the Big Bad Bike Show page. Join it.
I think the group's better.
The group is
join
better,
the group.
The group's better
if you
because you guys don't post anything on the fucking page. That's why.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to do the social. But if you want to speak to us directly, you can get Sam on Twitter @SoberCasano. I am on Instagram, the Up North Biker. And finally, we have a new name for Chippy's Twitter, which is @MotoChippy. And he chose that.
Because it sounds like @MotoGP, @MotoChippy.
So if you go MotoGP.
Right, so you guys mentioned that my fucking Twitter handle @SoberCasano is a bit too hard for people to find or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, the name Super Gasanos, I'm not going to change my mind on it. It's a class name. But yeah, I do agree it's maybe a bit difficult to find. So maybe I have to change my name. So, any ideas? Anybody?
Crazy Irishman. There you go. Sorted.
There's probably already somebody with that Twitter handle @Crazy Irishman.
Right,
and I'm not that crazy. I am a 37-year-old dad who puts his kids to bed, reads them stories, come downstairs, and I'm just a normal dad.
Borderline alcoholic.
There's nothing borderline about
Not
it.
borderline. The line is a dot to me.
Well, if that's it then, it is goodbye from us at the Big Bad Bike Show. See you later.
That is a goodbye from us, so Chippy.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.